Greetings, ladies and gentlemen! I am Metatine, and, I'm gonna get back into the whole Let's Play category with one of my favorite games of all time, and in my opinion, one of the greatest games ever made. Vectorman. Vectorman. This game was originally released on the Sega Genesis, and it was later ported to the Sonic Gems collection. That's where I know most people have heard of the game. And from that point on, the game, well, became notorious for a lot of reasons. For one, the game is rather difficult, and aside from the difficulty, its cheat page is also notorious for another reason. But I'm going to be talking about the cheat page in an extra video. I will say why this game is the greatest game ever made, in my opinion, but that'll also be in an extra video. Or maybe in a review, wink wink. Anyway, time for story. It's Earth 2049, and Earth City's forests and ice caps are filled with toxic sludge. Humanity has escaped to the stars, leaving mechanical Orbots to clean up. One powerful Orbot, Raster, oversees the cleanup through a planet-wide comm net. Tragedy strikes when an error attendants connect a salvaged nuclear bomb to Raster's master control circuits. Warhead is born, and he stands for tyranny, hatred, and oppression. By Warhead's decree, Earth is forged into an instrument of death for the returning humans. Vectorman lands his space barge after delivering a load of sludge to the sun. Unhindered by evil mind control, he will not rest until Warhead is defeated and the Earth is again free. Day 1, Terraport. Upon first glance, you guys will notice this game looks rather familiar to Donkey Kong Country, and I'm gonna say this right now, this game was in response to Donkey Kong Country. In fact, if it wasn't for Donkey Kong Country, I'm pretty sure this game would have never came out. So that story, man, right? That's one major mistake. I could say it's kind of symbolic how one of the world's most peaceful, quote, peaceful nation, became evil when they got a nuclear bomb. But, nuclear bombs are another way of saying, oh, well, I'm the boss, out of my way. That's just... How do you mess that up? Well, the first stage isn't rather too difficult. In fact, you can learn a lot of the bare basics here. In fact, I will be showing off a few weapons that I do come across, such as this one. This weapon, in my opinion, is actually one of the poorest in the entire game. For the basic reason of, well, it seems to just go down. I mean, in later levels like in Underground, this level is quite useful. In the first few levels, it's not all too useful. And of course, there are also power-ups. Not that many, but the few you do serve a purpose, such as the bomb. And the bomb will will be very useful later on in the game when you want to get to special areas. And that right there, the power-up I just received, gives you another health up, which I will say is very rare to find. And the harder difficulty, that thing is near impossible to find. And for those of you who are asking, why am I not playing this game on a harder difficulty? I just didn't. Because I got caught up in the moment when I basically turned this on. And we're coming up to the very first boss. And I missed the power-up. To my knowledge, the very first boss name is known as the Sledge Barrage, or the sled shuttle. At the end of the game, I will know what the boss's name is, because, to be perfectly honest, I don't remember much of the boss's names off the top of my head, mainly because, well, they really aren't named. Otherwise, the very first boss is rather easy. In fact, I'd have to say it isn't all too difficult, all things considered. Basically, he opens up his little cargo hold and drops bombs on you. Nothing too extreme, rather simple. Though, there's two ways you can do this. You can run side to side when he's moving his chain balls to you, or you can just jump over the chain balls, but then as soon as you land, you need to jump back over them. And that was the very first stage boss. Teleport completed. And now we're going to go to the second stage, the most notorious for most people who can beat this game, Metalhead. In fact, this is the one stage I'd have to say is indeed the hardest, and it's a simple reason that yes, anyone who's been paying attention, this is indeed the final boss. In fact, you fight the final boss quite a few times. In fact, he died the same time I died. Though, in my opinion, Metalhead is the hardest level. Mainly because you have to focus on the enemies on the sides and Warhead himself. And with that, the second boss is completed. And now we're moving on to the third stage, and in my opinion, the dullest stage, Tidal Surge. Though, this game is, it's really good. I mean, it looks really good. If it wasn't for the polygon-like sprites, I'd have to say this game aged pretty good. Well, most of it aged pretty good. Well, the mixture of colors in certain stages do make them all look breathtaking. You'll all see what I mean in about the 5th and 6th level. You guys will see what I mean. Though, as for Tidal Surge, it looks rather lovely. I have to say, out of all the water levels in gaming, this one's far from the worst. In fact, I'd say it's pretty decent. Though, in this stage, the only thing you need to really worry about is those goddamn turrets. Because the turrets of all things will slow you down in the whole game. Make no mistake. And that too, something actually, this game was developed by Blue Sky Software. And, you know, most people know them for a few games. They made one of the more notorious games was the Spider-Man Web of Fire game for the 32X. And I do believe at one point they were supposed to develop the Aladdin game for the Sega Genesis. But it was pulled over to, well, I do not remember the development team who's going to do the Aladdin game. Though if I do remember, I will mention it. But of course, they did the Sega Genesis version of the Aladdin game, who by many people recommend me to play. And from what I've seen, it's a really, really good game. Is it better than the SNES version? I don't know. Alright, and this power-up I have right here is, well, Screen Annihilation. You'll find a lot of those in this stage, actually. That's the main power-up in this stage alone. Certain levels have certain main power-ups that you can find numerous amount of times. Though not all stages. Though, you know, this game is Tidal Surge, you know. At first, Tidal Surge seems like to be a pain because there's turrets everywhere. aside from that, it's not all too bad. And with that, we come to an end of Let's Play Vectorman Part 1. I'll see you all again for Part 2 of Vectorman, where we confront the 4th level, Absolute Zero.